Welcome back to N.Rajini Kiranmai YouTube channel. This video is going to help you to understand the problem solving methods. So what is a method that we are going to use to solve a problem or complete a task or complete an application or software application? So to do so, we are going to use a software development life cycle. So this software development life cycle uses a waterfall model where this waterfall model has different phases. The first phase is system requirements. Once this phase is completed, then it moves to analysis phase. Then later it moves to the design phase, then coding phase, testing, and finally reaches to the maintenance phase. So in software development life cycle, in the waterfall model, we are going to talk about 6 different phases. Why we are calling it as a waterfall model means, as we all know, the waterfall is going to flow from top to bottom. That means one phase output is going to be given as an input to the analysis, and analysis output is given as an input to the design, and design output is given as an input to coding phase, and output of the coding phase is given as an input for the testing phase, and then the testing output is given as an input for the maintenance phase. That is the reason why we are going to call this model as a waterfall model. Let me explain about the different phases. The first phase which we are going to talk about is system requirements. So in this phase, what is that we are going to do is, first, we are going to clearly understand the problem. So it is necessary to know what are the requirements used for its solution. So first, once the problem is clearly understood, then we can know what all the requirements are used to solve that particular problem. So in first phase, we are going to understand the problem and we are going to think about what all the requirements I have to gather in order to solve that problem. Second thing is analysis. So in the analysis, so problem is clear. In this phase, we are going to know what input should be given to the problem or to the program, and what output is to be expected from the problem. That is, in analyzing, we are going to identify the problem by analyzing what input and what output is to be expected. So if these two steps, that is, if the first step, that is problem statement, is carefully understood and we once get a clear idea of the problem, then second, we are going to determine what input and what should be the output. Now let us move to the third phase, that is in design phase. In the design phase, we are going to develop a list of steps which are going to solve the problem. If these steps are written in an understandable language, then we are going to call this list of steps as an algorithm. So this algorithm is written in order to solve the problem which is to be proposed earlier. Like say for example, most of the problems contains 3 subproblems. That is, first get the data, perform the computation, and finally display the result. So this is the task that we are going to do in the design phase. Either you list the steps by using an understandable language called algorithm, or develop the list of steps in a pictorial way, that is called as flowchart. Now let us move to the fourth phase, that is implementation or coding phase. And here in this phase, the algorithm is implemented by converting it into a program where the program is written in a high level language. In simple way, we can say here the algorithm steps are converted into one or more statements in the programming language. So this is the task which we are going to do in the coding phase. Later we move to the testing phase. In the testing phase, we are going to verify whether the program is going to perform or work properly or not. How we are going to verify this? By using different sets of data. Several times we are going to run these test cases with different sets of data to make it sure that it works correctly for every situation provided in the algorithm. And the last phase is a maintenance phase. It means we are going to modify the program in this phase by removing the previously undetected errors and to keep it up to date as a company policy changes. So these are all different phases, and in order to better understand this, I came up with a small example, that is applying this method by to doing the task of converting miles to kilometers. So in the first step, that is in system requirement, what is that we are going to do is, first we are going to understand the problem. The problem here is the maps are provided, so we are going to study those maps, where in these maps we are going to focus on the distances. So our task is to convert these distances which are mentioned in miles to kilometers. So this is the problem given, and this should be clearly understood at this system requirements. So second one, in analysis, we should know what should be the input and what should be the output for the problem. So the input is distance in miles is provided as an input, and you have to convert the output, that is a distance in kilometers, and the formula that is used to make these conversions is 1 mile is equal to 1.609 kilometers. As we want the output in the terms of kilometers, then the input, that is the distance that is given in miles, should be divided with 1.609. So this is what we are going to do in the analysis phase. In the third phase, you are developing an algorithm to solve the problem, that is first get the distance in miles is the first step. After getting the distance in miles, in the second step, what we are going to do is we convert the distance which is mentioned in miles into kilometers using the formula saying kilometers is equal to miles by 1.609. And in the third step, we are going to display the result, that is the distance in kilometers. So this is the designing phase. Then in the fourth phase, I am going to implement that algorithm in C program. So in C program, I have returned to ask the distance in miles. Then I'm going to store that miles distance in m, and then I'm dividing my m value, that is distance in miles, with 1.609. I'm going to get the result and I'm storing it in k, and then I'm printing that k value. So, and this is what we are going to do in the coding phase, that is algorithm is converted into a program. In the fifth step, what is that we are going to do is, I'm going to verify whether this program is going to work properly or not. So few more test values of miles are given over here. Then I'm going to test whether it is going to work properly or not. So thank you for watching this video.